And now Derek Chauvin is on trial. And I don't know if you've been following the trial. Tom, have you been following this trial at all? Or?
Not at all. I think it's good for my mental health to just get the debriefings from you.
I do care about it. I do talk about it. I haven't watched the whole thing. I mean, I haven't watched days and days. I think it's like 19 days of trial so far. They just started closing arguments today, and then the jury is going to go deliberate. Will that take 24 hours? Will that take a week? Who knows? But they're going to be deliberating. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is there's brewing riots, the protests that are happening that will inevitably lead into riots if Derek Chauvin is found not guilty or acquitted, right? Do you feel that energy? Do you feel like there's there's going to be trouble going on if Derek Chauvin doesn't get the hammer?
Well, that's one of the reasons I sort of wanted to stay away from it, because it's sort of triggering. I was a juror on a trial, on a national trial, murder trial, and where the outcome, it felt like maybe people would be really upset if we came back with the wrong outcome, or the outcome.
Okay, watch yourself. I don't know what you can say or can't say.
Yeah, be careful.
Right.
But
it's funny because you don't even talk about this. It never comes up in conversation. No. You don't joke about it. You don't, not in private, nothing. There's like nothing.
So I tried joking about it on stage, and I had to apologize after the last time I said the joke. People,
I don't think
not particularly happy. Well, it's because it's a situation, being a juror on a trial where the debate isn't if the person committed the crime, right? That wasn't the debate. It was clearly the crime was being committed. It's just what was the state of mind at the time. Here, there's a question as to whether or not the police officer is innocent, like if he did all the things he was supposed to do. It's not. So if I found it stressful in the trial that I was in, I can't imagine what how people feel in this thing. I mean, when the incident happened, it caused a massive uproar. And now this is like the O.J. Simpson trial times 1,000. It's, I don't know.
Last year, the protests that occurred, 20 plus millions, the estimates average about 20 million people protested in 2020 for the Black Lives Matter protests inspired by George Floyd, after the George Floyd video went viral. That's the largest protest in American history. I think the largest protest in the world. Yeah, absolutely, by far. Like, you're talking about O.J. Simpson, 1,000. No, this is the most that you could possibly ever imagine. That's why some people are predicting. I've seen headlines that say, if Derek Chauvin is found not guilty or acquitted, I'm not sure what the difference is there, but if he's let go, then
not guilty is that you prove that you're not guilty, and acquitted just means that just letting the case go.
Then we will probably witness the biggest riots in the history of America, save for when they fought for their independence, I guess.
It's there's too many moving pieces in this, right? There's the police that are filled with good guys and bad guys. There's Antifa. There's people locked in because of COVID. There's resentment all around the Donald Trump and Biden election. It's like, I don't think anyone needs a particularly big reason to just set the whole dry wood on fire. So I think it's just a matter of, we're going to get riots. Like, the domain names for the riots have already been purchased a while ago. Like, people are ready to capitalize it. The story's already written. They just have to switch out what the cause is. It's sort of like how you always know there's going to be a stock market crash. You just don't know what'll cause it.
And you always know there's going to be another Star Trek movie.
That's right. Exactly. You can back
depend. Which timeline is it? Is it the past?
Who's the star? Exactly.
Who's the star? But it's going to be a Star Trek show, and there are going to be riots. I felt the same way about that. I was telling Sam that, like, I feel like there will be riots. Just, will it be this week, or will it be next month, or whatever? Like, you don't prepare all this energy. It's like, imagine it's a boxer training. He's just training. I can't box, so if you're looking at me for clues here, he's hitting the bag. I know you're supposed to hit a bag or something.
That's some good fisticuffs you got going on.
Yeah, exactly. You got your muscles glowing, and you're pumping, da-da-da, da-da, and you come by and you're like, hey, are you going to be fighting? No. No, no fight. No, you're not building up all those muscles and all that tension in order to not fight. It's kind of like I heard that guys who go, I don't know if it works for women as well, but guys who go and learn martial arts or some fighting skill or whatever, they're then itching for a fight. Like they didn't learn karate to not use karate.
I don't know. We've seen this wave coming. We've seen this case coming for a while, and it's sort of like it's not going to hit you out of the blue. Like everyone who's against the police officer is expecting them to acquit the police officer, right? It would be
Well, no, I'm not so sure. The case isn't okay. The case isn't as clear cut as like the case the trial that you're on. It's like I heard hours and hours and hours of testimony. I saw the videotape. I heard the closing arguments from the prosecutor and the defense. I'm not 100% sure.
no, but you're talking about an evidence-based approach. There are people who have already made up their minds before the trial even happened. They think there's systemic
I had made up my
oppression.
mind before it happened. When I saw that video, I was like, that dude totally killed that dude. Like, what the hell are you talking about? I made up my mind. I was like, at the very least, this guy is whatever the minimum is, the guy's getting the minimum.
But I mean, just as far as systemic oppression is concerned, the argument here, the underlying current in all this is that the system is rigged against the disenfranchised, and so regardless of how this case goes, that's going to be there. And if he's found not guilty or acquitted, it's just going to validate the mainstream idea that the police and the system is totally rigged. So like that's the expected outcome, I would imagine.
Yeah, the expected outcome before the trial began was that the system is rigged and that Chauvin will get off. The headlines that you've been seeing, if you watch certain media outlets, is it's a done deal. Chauvin is guilty. Like
really?
That's part of what's fueling the rage that's going on here. A lot of the media is saying like part of what's happening, and I've heard some people say this, is like you're at a bar. There's the game that's on there's a boxing match that's on the TV. You're not watching the TV, but you're just hearing the game. But the announcer is only calling when your guy is landing punches and just ignoring totally when the other punches are landing. Like literally, you're not hearing the other side of the fight. So you're thinking, well, of course, this fight's done. Like my guy's won this. Like it's over. Like I can hear what's going on. Well, what's happening in news that typically what they do, they don't show both sides equally. There isn't like showing what's going on in the headlines and all that. Which headlines is what typically most people read. I don't care if you bury the fact at the bottom of your article, people are not seeing that. And so the sentiment is in certain media outlets that it's a done deal. Like the case is clearly being shown, and only a crazy system could possibly yield something else, which ratchets up the tension, creates expectation in people who are not following closely or don't have a mind to understand what's going on, that they don't understand that, we're having a trial here because it's kind of ambiguous, like there is some type, is it reasonable doubt? We don't know, but there is something here. Or else the guy would have just pled down.
Right. I'll tell you as a professional juror, you're not privy to any of this like mounting wave of media of the news of the narrative.
Except they are, because they're not sequestered.
How? What do you mean they're not sequestered?
Tom, they're not sequestered. What? Some of them live in the city. They drive by the riots on their way.
No.
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, then this guy's gonna be hanged.
That's what I think.
But then he's gonna appeal.
I mean, if people want you to hang,
no, but you can appeal. You can appeal to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Well, the Supreme Court's not going to care. Supreme Court's not going to make.
It's not going to get appealed to the Supreme Court.
What do you mean? Why not?
How? What's the last case you heard about police brutality that got appealed to the Supreme Court?
No, where the police officer was convicted.
Whatever.
Never. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Police officers don't get convicted. That doesn't happen. George Zimmerman is still walking around out there. Are you kidding me?
He's not a police officer.
Exactly. He's not even a police officer.
Look, I'm not going to bring up George Zimmerman.
So who's going to take the over and over? Okay, if you were to If you were to say one way or another, like you have to choose if it's going to be guilty or not guilty, which one would you say it is? Not if he
Uh,
actually is or not, but what do you think the verdict will be?
I think he will go. I think he's going to prison.
Hmm.
I think he's going to prison. Here's
I
the
think that
thing.
would cause so many more problems.
I think here's the thing. I know disaster will strike if he doesn't go to prison. Okay. I don't think that his behavior, whether it's legally or whatever, is like was good. There were 10 seconds that if he had acted in the last 10 seconds could have done
Mm-hmm.
something. The
Right.
guy didn't really seem like I get its procedure. I get that this is the way we're taught, but you
Yeah.
know,
He was really very
maybe it's an
nonchalant, reckless
indictment.
guy.
Yeah, maybe it's an indictment of the police system, but unfortunately, he's the figurehead of this. But this is kind of how I feel, and it's selfish, and I'm not saying it's right. But the consequences if he doesn't go to prison is going to be an explosion. So if one more dude's got to take it for the
Right.
rest of us,
Right. Right.
this dude didn't really care about the pleas of anybody, despite whatever he's supposed to do. I mean, you have leeway. Like, I get it. You're talking to a customer service agent on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, just don't, no, 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 no. You're like, I know you have some power. I know you can credit me $20. You're unwilling to do anything. Oh, but it's not our policy. Yeah, it's not your policy. But in your policy, I'm sure there's like exceptions that gives you some agency. So this guy is like, he could have not. I was stopped by a cop one time driving, and my license, not my license or insurance, something was off, and I was like, oh, I thought I paid it, like I thought it was fine, and the guy was like, look, I could take you out of this car right now, tow your car, and take you to jail. That's what I'm supposed to do right now, but I'm not. Go and get this fixed because I believe you. That's the human beings that I think should be a cop. Not a guy like, I'm going to kneel here while people are yelling and screaming, your pulse is going away. Like, what the hell procedures is that?
Yeah, so that's how I feel the police should be. The police should always have an incentive to lean towards mercy, as long as they stop the immediate threat. Just find some way of cooling it down, get social workers involved, drive the person home, do whatever it is, but always try to minimize that. But the prison industrial complex does not allow for that, right? And so they need to pack those prisons. So to me, the whole question of police brutality is not a racism question. Is like we've said before, it's a money question. They have no incentive to be lenient. They have no incentive to go the extra mile. It's not just about some police officers are just thugs looking to get guns and power over some other people, and it's just not the question of some of them are nice and they just don't get the visibility because those Instagram videos don't play well. I think it's about that there is no incentive, and if people are whatever people are incentivized to do, that's what they'll do. Like, you're gonna buy a chocolate bar and a TV Guide magazine while you're waiting out in the aisle at the grocery store because they know how to nudge you in order to go in that direction. On average, that's what people will do. And there's none of this nudging. It's quotas in order to give tickets and uh, benefits if you get to arrest somebody because they get to go to jail. Like, you don't get any visibility, any benefits for being keeping the peace, being a good guy. You just don't. So,
I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs. Maybe there's some benefit for not having complaints against you on file or blah blah blah. But yeah, the incentive structure, on some level, I assume is skewed. When it comes to the trial, I believe that that's the problem with this trial. That the fact that he's being tried in Minnesota, it's like, how are you supposed to get a fair trial? You should be the jury pool has already been sort of tainted. I mean, a whole year of people watching the news and hearing how terrible this guy is, and suddenly I got to be a juror on this trial. It's a little strange that they kept it there. So I don't think he has a fair
wait,
thing.
but
But I
aren't you
mean,
supposed to be tried? It has to be a jury of your peers. It can't just be some outside jury. It has to be a
the jury
jury
of
from
your
the
Yeah, a jury of your peers, but typically not one that's been tainted. So
Yeah,
if, let's
the
say,
tainted part. That's what I said is a slam dunk in the field to get any
yeah,
conviction
maybe.
overturned. Because
Yeah, maybe. So anyway, we're not going to deep dive too much into that. But the reason I want to talk about the trial was I really, really enjoy watching a debate. I really love, especially law. Like I love having a defense and a prosecutor like go head to head because no matter what side you're on, I didn't look at these lawyers and be like, oh, they're just captured by emotion and their passions and they're trying to make logical reasonable arguments and they are making reasonable arguments. I mean, maybe they're flawed or whatever, but that's just the way the thing works. And I really like to see people like, I don't think that this one lawyer is like hating the other lawyer even though they're on the opposite sides of a murder case. I think they're both trying to do the best job that they can to represent their positions, and they're trying to honor the system. And at the end of the day, they will both respect whatever is produced by this to whatever degree. That doesn't mean they're not going to appeal. Doesn't mean there's not other courses, but they both respect each other. And that philosophy that gave birth to that criminal justice system, to those principles, I feel like it's kind of lost now. I feel like we don't have that anymore. It's like tried in the court of public opinion. Emotion and passion overrides reason. And, like one of the things I heard in the closing arguments is the prosecutor says, the guy who's going against Chauvin says, believe your eyes. You have to just believe your eyes. Like what? It's 2021. We know enough about psychology in the brain to know the last thing you should believe is just your eyes. The amount of your eyes, like no facts and data and details. Your eyes could totally lie to you.
Okay,
your eyes
so
lie to you all the time.
In the trial that I was in, that was like the weird thing at the end. The the defense of this criminal put on this eloquent, detailed closing remarks, and the prosecutor put on these detailed closing remarks. And then the defense attorney was just like, comes up and is like, oh well, like it's crazy what he did, right? Like it's crazy. Like you look at the tape and it's crazy, right? There's nothing else you can say about it. It's just crazy. Okay, I rest my case. I was like, okay, wow, okay. I guess you don't always have to go to town with some. What was the shows we used to watch? The Practice, Boston Legal. Like, well, I guess it's not always like some big rousing speech at the end. Sometimes some just goes, what? You know the thing.
And I totally understood it.
It's like Joe Biden. Come on, man. Come on, man. You know the thing.
But like when I watched he said that, like I actually kind of get it. Like I remember the video, and even with doubt in my mind, I'm watching this video. I'm like, this video behind the scenes, you're gonna tell me reveals that what I'm seeing right now, this guy is totally on the up and up. Like this.
Well, that's right. Like we wouldn't behave in that way. There's no way we would ever have behaved in that way. But I don't know the training that police officers go through. I don't know the environment that they're in. And to me, it's like the easy thing would be to punish individual officer. Yeah. The hard thing would be to punish the state, to punish really dig it up. Why is this the procedure? Why is this the incentive? Like, to me, that's why it's sort of like, okay, let that guy be the scapegoat and solve zero problems. We're going to have the exact same issue happen again tomorrow.
Yeah, I do think it's like that a little bit. Sometimes we blame the individuals, but it's kind of like what Dave Chappelle said in his comedy special when he was talking about apartheid and how they decided not to go after the people who were, oppressing the other people. They're like, if the system is corrupt, then we should not blame any individual in the system. We're all victims of it, But that can only go so far. People's hearts can only stretch so far. Minds can only stretch so far to sort of provide innocence. to people who are actually perpetrating the harm. You can take an extreme example, like when it comes to Hitler. Like, would you have been a Nazi? Well, maybe. Does that excuse your behavior? Intellectually I might forgive you, but emotionally I might not.
Yeah, but if you only blame the Nazi and you never deal with the systemic issue,
well, I think people want to deal.
Then
with
you
both.
Get more Nazis.
Yeah, but I think people do want to deal with both, whether they're right or wrong about how they're going to approach that. It's a secondary thing. But I do think people want this to be solved. They want the system to be solved.
They think this person being sent to jail is part of the solution.
A small part of the solution. They want to tear the system
You're
down.
never going to hear about this again. Just like no one talks about.
Yes, but you'll hear about the system.
Yeah, and nothing will have changed.
No, because
nothing at all will have changed.
No, but they want the system to be turned down. I promise you. As somebody who's following this along,
they would. It's sort of like someone wants to be a writer, but to be seen as a writer, but they don't want to write a book. Yeah, I'm sure they want it, but wanting it and having it on your vision board is not the same as actually doing something in order to get it done.
I think they will. So anyway, I was about to say something really terrible there, but I won't. But what I really love to see is debate, and what I really love to see are two sides coming, challenging each other on facts, on details, on logic. You can even bring emotion into it. Of course, we're human creatures; we can bring that in. But I really like that, and I want to see that more in our society. The principles that brought that about, like innocent before guilty, and the right to a defense, and all those things, I don't think people really appreciate how that wasn't the case, like through the entirety of
history.
Human history and today in a lot of the world. Like, it's super special. And I think people sort of think like in court, that's where it should be, but nowhere else. Mm-hmm. But actually, more or less, it should be the philosophy not only in court, but how we sort of interact with each other on a regular basis. Because it's going to lead to, overall, if you treat everyone as innocent, even those who are guilty, overall, you create a better society, one that can trust each other, one where the balance of power is on the side of the individual. People have to prove that you're guilty as opposed to you proving that you're innocent towards a mob or something like that. You eliminate mob rule, and those are all very dangerous things. So I want to live in a society where those values are prized, and I'm not sure they're prized right now. I think I have a way where I can help it.
Before you get into that, because you're going to have a really good suggestion, but I'm just going to bring up the example of, I think it's King Hammurabi, Hammurabi's code, where the way that they were able to engineer this type of, or allegedly engineer this type of environment of innocence first is paradoxically, the punishment for a lot of things was death. And if there was any doubt, like both parties, the accused and the accused, they would just get killed. It's sort of like, all right, this better be an issue that matters to you a lot. Like for anything, if you didn't have the receipt for a sale of grain, you can get killed. If your son did something, the father and the son were killed. Like they were just like, we're trying to be up and up, and if there's any problems, you're punish it as death, which reminds me of the Star Trek episode, Next Generation episode, where they go down to a planet, and I think the Star Trek crew is on the grass, like they walk across the grass or something like that, and then they're sentenced to death, and they're like, and the Enterprise is like, holy shit, like we got to do what? We got to defend them over this small thing, and through the whole episode, it seemed like crazy, but towards the end, they're like, look, we don't have any murder or crime here. It's peaceful paradise. Just don't step on the grass and you won't get killed. Like that's all it is. And you sit in at the end, you're like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. That might be right. So freedom through, just capital punishment for every crime.
I didn't completely read this, so hopefully it doesn't end with something terrible. Let's go here. Like Tom, I also have not followed the trial, but I did happen to see a headline about a police trainer called by the defense to testify that Chauvin did not use excessive force. I wondered how that could possibly be. Did they dig him up from the 0.01%? So this person, this person is wondering where the heck did they find this police trainer to say that this was not excessive force.
Okay, so this is sort of like that. Melissa was telling me, like, when they're given the designation of free range chicken to certain chickens, they say it's free range if the chicken has like a 2 feet by 2 feet or a 1.5 foot by 1.5 foot square. Okay, it's free range. It's sort of like, here, I'm sure there's some regulation that says excessive force is defined by this, and if you read it, you'd be like, holy crap, that's some narrow definition of excessive force that gives cover to the people who are charged with it. And so you can always find some expert to redefine or massage terms in order to make sure that you're on the right side of that line. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think you can find experts on both sides. I heard experts on both sides in this case. It's really funny. They're like, the doctors say that this was this, and then the other guy's like, yeah, the doctors say that this is this. So it's like, okay, well, which one is it? Which doctor has more years?
Just a note to add here. What's interesting about the jury system, right? Because the jury system never used to exist. It used to be off with his head, you're causing a problem. That's it. It was the monarch or whatever the ruling class that decided. This whole jury system is this idea that the jury can override a law. So there might be the letter of a law in a given area, but the jury is allowed to go, but we want to live in a society where this occurs. Now,
jury nullification.
Jury nullification. Exactly. Now, the thing is, and if we accept that idea here, then if people go, yeah, well, it's a law, but still I don't like it. Doesn't matter what you think about their politics. Doesn't matter what you think if they're making a rash decision. Doesn't matter what you think the letter of the law is. The idea of a jury is that the jury gets the last word. They get to supersede. And then, the judge gets to decide what the sentencing is. So if they think that the jury went too far one way or the other. So it's sort of hard here. If the jury says, we don't care what your definition for excessive force is, we don't want that happening in our community again.
But here's my beef with that, about what you just said there. The jury isn't chosen at random. They're chosen by the lawyers. Half of them are going to be on the side to some degree of the defense, and half will be on the side of the prosecutor. Like, the jury selection process isn't this pure process. They weed out people who they don't like, and they keep people who they feel are amenable to their position, which makes it so that, there's at least a balance of the two. So jury gets the final word. Yeah, well, who picks the jury? Well, and what TV shows and movies and news does the jury watch?
It's not supposed to be random. It's supposed to...
No, I'm not saying it's random. I'm just saying that idea that the last word comes down to the jury. Well, that's another one of massaging the language of it. It's like, yeah, well, if I get to choose the jury and the jury has the last word, well, then on some level, I have the last word. Like, I can influence the jury.
But each attorney can veto a jury member until they get to the jury that they find acceptable.
Yeah, so they're not finding like an accurate reflection of the population necessarily. They're finding the people and that they believe, rightly or wrongly, are amenable to their position. Maybe they're finding the most open-minded jurors. Maybe they're finding the most whatever.
Well, don't you need a unanimous verdict on a manslaughter case?
Yeah, one person, and it'll be a hung jury.
So let half of them. Let half of them be chosen by the defense.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying.
No, I'm saying it's good. I'm saying it's good. It makes it more likely that the person will be innocent because you only need one.
The way I feel about this is that if you start solving, I believe in upstreaming, right? Going upstream as far as you can in order to solve the problem. If you're solving judicial problems in the courtroom with the judge and the lawyers and the jury, we've already gone well past the point of origin. It's in the schools, it's the young people, it's the whole, there shouldn't be a police interaction. That's the solution to this stuff. There shouldn't be a police interaction. Why the hell are people out there suffering to such a degree, needing George Floyd is addicted to drugs. Okay, that's not his fault. Like, I'm not putting blame on him. What kind of society makes it so easy that tens and tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions of people addicted to drugs. Like, why is it so prevalent in society? Like, what's going on? Like, the real problem is, why are there so many police interactions? Like, why is this going on? Shouldn't interactions with police be extremely rare? And shouldn't the violent interactions be even rarer than that? Like, people go, oh, there's gang violence in this. Why are there so many gangs? What is going on? Like, what is the suffering that people are going through? You think people are getting 3 square meals a day and the prospects for the future and out there killing people, out there committing crimes and doing drugs? No. Like, we can talk all day long. We could just talk a long time about the jury process and about all that stuff. And that's what the system wants us to do, to stymie us in this, in the muck and the mire of these details. Why are there tens of thousands of laws? Like, you break laws, you don't even know that you're breaking the laws. They passed a law. They just passed 5,000 laws this month. 5,000 laws on top of tens of thousands of laws. Like, what the hell? Why is this whole system set up this way?
That's right.
Why does it take? Why do you have to go to law school? People go, I have to go to law school. You have to be super bright and genius. You got to pass the bar in order to put up a legal defense. Like, you can't even sign a contract. None of us even read the fine print of anything, because what's the point? Like, the system well past messed up. Oh, this law and that law, we should pass a new law and get the judge. Oh, that was the wrong judge and that's the wrong jury. Like, none of the problems can be solved on this level. We have to go way upstream.
Upstream in a lot of these social problems will be money. Like, what is going on with the money? Not who gets it, but the soundness of it. What is the ability of this money to maintain value, and what is the way that we're able to exchange it? So it's up. That's where upstream. We're going to find that constantly in these videos. Money is the issue. Money is why all those regulations.
I think there are 2 sources. I think there are 2 sources for this. Money is the physical representation. We both agree on that. I think the true source is within. I think it's the values that we hold. The values.
Sorry, let me modify that. I'm not trying to say that what happens with the a proper monetary system is that you have proper indications of what gets energy and what doesn't. Mm-hmm. Not that the money solves the problem, but allows you to go, that's where there's the problem, and I have an easy mechanism to give it less power by convincing other people. Look, we can clearly see this is the problem. Let's give our money over here. But we're in a system where you can't get people to not give tax money to their local government. You can't get people to not use some big retailer who's evading paying their fair share or whatever it is. Like, you can't get away from that. And so, even though we all realize that it's on some level, directly, indirectly, it's the money that's the problem. Without it being sound, we don't have the proper indicators.
Yeah, I agree. And I know that you know this, and we both know that money, pure money, is a representation of our values. Like, where the economy goes demonstrates what we actually value on the inside. Like, so I do know that you're coming there, but sometimes people can hear it and not recognize that because we haven't explained it, what money. When you say money, what does that mean? Like, is it actual money, or is it the behavior that's associated with true money, like pure money that's unadulterated? Just a side note, I always wonder, like, why aren't these Black Lives Matter people and these protesters, like, now on a mission to join the police force? I mean, they should be flooded with hundreds of people who want to become police officers. Like, you got a problem with the police, you become a police. Like, you quickly solve that problem if you guys are the police officers.
Like, it doesn't pay well.
It doesn't pay well?
No.
I don't know, man. I would maybe there's criminal records and they can't join. I don't know. Like, if it was up to me, I'd take all the gang members and make them police and go, no, it's your job to police your town. Give them responsibility, give them authority.
I mean, isn't that what gangs do anyway? It's not what they
in some sense they do that. Like, they do offer protection. They do offer some recourse for people who are in need. Done right.
The same answer is why we don't have good police is the same answer why we don't have good politicians, or the same answer we don't have good teachers and all this sort of thing. It's the incentive is not there. It's just you have more incentive to become a professional basketball player than you have to become a police officer.
Oh, damn, I knew there was something I forgot to do today. Become a professional basketball player.
Exactly.
That's right. Damn, all the incentives are there.
We're black and tall. That's what we should have done. Programming.
Yeah, but we're only black and tall. We're not especially skilled, not well coordinated.
Hey, speak for yourself. I can
Yeah.
get the pig skin inside of the net basket.
I don't think it's made for big skin. I'm pretty sure that's football. You just proved my point. Thanks.